Good to know you're still on to Flow 94.9 FM, the flow of God's own state. And a very good afternoon to you. Right now, we are on a special program that is a 3 day civil military relations radio talk and a virtual accountability forum on civil military relations. This afternoon, I beg your pardon, we want to commend officers and men of the Nigerian Armed Forces for their sacrifices and hard work to defend Nigeria and secure citizens, especially during the COVID 19 pandemic. Now, there is a foundation known as Clean Foundation. Clean Foundation is engaged with the Nigerian Army Human Rights Desk, and they are commending the Nigerian Army's tremendous work with regards to holding her personnel accountable for rights violations. Various human rights violations have been perpetrated by some members of the security and law enforcement agencies who were actually charged with the responsibility of protecting the lives and properties of citizens during the pandemic. It's an appalling situation and actually sends a bad impression to the citizens and international community. Now, today on the program, we had one yesterday. We looked at the civil military relations and human rights during COVID-19 pandemic. But this is day two of the program. And today we are addressing the challenges of human rights violation during COVID-19 pandemic. That's what we're doing this afternoon. My name is Chioma Nkwanta, and with me in the studio is the State Coordinator, Human Rights Commission, Abia State. That's Barrister Uche Wokocha. Good afternoon, ma'am.
Listeners, welcome to the program.
Thank you for joining us this afternoon. We also have Reverend Christopher Uchenna Ononobu. He is in charge traffic and indiscipline management agency of Abia State. That's TIMAS. Good afternoon to you, sir.
Good afternoon, listeners. Good afternoon, my audience.
And we have Comrade Nelson Nanawafo, who is the coordinator of FENRAD. Good afternoon to you, sir.
Thank you for having me. Good afternoon.
Thank you for joining us. Well, on March 11, 2020, the World Health Organization, that is WHO, declared that an outbreak of the viral disease COVID-19, first identified in December in Wuhan, China, has reached the level of global pandemic, citing concerns with the alarming levels of spread and severity. The World Health Organization called for governments to take urgent and aggressive actions to stop the spread of the virus. International human rights law guarantees everyone the right to the highest attainable standard of health and actually obligates government to take steps to prevent threats to public health and to provide medical care to those who need it. Human rights laws also recognizes that in the context of serious public health threats and public emergencies threatening the life of the nation, restrictions on some rights can be justified when they have a legal basis. Some are restricted when necessarily based on scientific evidence and all of that. Now, the severity of COVID-19 actually made the Nigerian government to restrict some of our rights. For instance, social and physical gathering. It was one of the restrictions that we actually experienced during the heat of the COVID-19. So today we're looking at addressing the challenges of human rights violation during the COVID-19 pandemic. I'd like for Barrister Uche Wokocha to actually, in very few words, explain to us what human rights violations are so that we start from there.
Human rights are rights given to man by God, and they are captured in our constitution and other international human rights documents to which Nigeria is party to. Human rights are interdependent and interrelated. And COVID-19 brought that home very close to us for us to know that you cannot have one human right without the other. COVID-19 brought serious human rights challenges to the world as a whole, particularly to the third world country, and pitiably to Nigeria. And it is still going on. The human rights challenges and COVID-19, they are still going on. In human rights, when we come to human rights, we have three categories of it. We have the socio-economic and cultural rights. We have the civil and political rights. Then we have others. But I'm going to concentrate on our socio-economic rights here. The abuse on the socio-economic rights was quite damaging. When we talk about our socio-economic rights, we talk about our labor rights. That's our right to work, and such works are protected. COVID-19 damaged that, challenged that. Let me not say damaged. Let me use the word challenge that.
Okay.
Okay. Our rights to education is still being challenged. Not all our children are in school. We are still trying to manage those that we ask to resume for examination purposes.
Yes.
And then we are trying to see how we can take care of the others. Then it's a serious challenge to our rights to health, our rights to food, our rights to shelter. And this right to shelter, nobody knew how serious it was until the government said lockdown, stay home. And then suddenly we discovered there are citizens of Nigeria who have no home to stay in. They said, clear the parks, clear the market, clear everywhere. All of you must go home. Suddenly we discovered there are citizens of Nigeria who do not have any homes to go to. And those people are left wandering, and all kinds of abuses were visited to them. That is as our socio-economic rights are concerned. I think I will stop there.
Okay.
Then we have our civil and political rights. These rights that protect us from unlawful arrest and detention, extortion, unlawful seizure of property, cruel, inhuman, and degrading treatment, torture, extrajudicial killings, enforced disappearance, participation in political and economic affairs, right to freedom of thought, religion, right to peaceful assembly and association. It was all challenged. All our rights, you just mentioned it. There is no escape, there's no exception. Everyone was challenged. And a lot of harm was visited to the citizens of Nigeria. It seems as if human rights were abrogated. I don't know why it happened like that. I can say that it happened like that because this COVID-19 took the world unawares, and they took Nigeria also unawares. That's why they call it novel.
Novel.
Something that is strange, something that has never happened before,
Oh,
something we are just coming in contact with. Unfortunately, it caught us unawares. It caught us unprepared, and a lot of things happened. Our economy, I don't know when it will recover. The markets were closed, everywhere we are closed. People were asked not to work, stay at home. There was no food, and the people were being given handouts. They are
Yes.
called palliatives.
Palliatives.
And we appreciated that, but it wasn't good enough, and it didn't go round. Some people get, some people did not get it. It caused a lot of public breach of peace, and they created enmity in some communities. Some people, once they got the palliative, they give it to themselves and to their friends. Others who are not their friends did not get any. So it is something that we pray don't visit our nation again. Let us recover from it first before we talk about another one.
Okay. Amen. Well, you mentioned some of the human rights that were actually restricted and
Challenged.
that were challenged because of the COVID-19 pandemic. And one of them you mentioned was actually that's in regards to civil and political rights.
Yes.
You made mention of unlawful arrest and
Detention.
detention. Now we're going to go to Reverend Christopher Uchenna, who is from the TIMAS agency. Yes, unlawful arrest and detention. A lot of people were actually arrested during COVID-19, and some would say that they were unlawfully arrested. You know, why did this occur?
All right. If I may come in there, if government has given an instruction concerning this issue of pandemic, All government has in mind is to make sure the general public or the general or majority of the citizens are safe. It's for the betterment of the whole people, the general people. So when government has given an instruction because of what is on ground, we are bound, especially on our own section, to carry it out. It becomes a law. If government says do this, this is what should be done, we have to do it. And such things are announced. Normally, before we carry them out, they are announced. Don't do this, don't do this. Don't come out around this time. Go in around this time. When you are carrying passengers, carry this number of people so that people will be saved. If you are talking about human right on a particular person, and we're talking about human life on general people, because government will definitely rule people. So if we can be able to, work within the government instructions that is good for us, that is meant to keep us alive, that is meant to keep the general public, majority of the populace healthy, I think that is good enough for us to carry out that. And when we do that, I don't think we are stepping outside alone.
But on social media, we saw videos of people that were actually harassed and intimidated extremely just because they were said to have disobeyed some of the rules that we were told to do during the pandemic.
All right. I wouldn't say that naturally, we know that during this period, we, especially in this our state, a lot of us never believed there was something like coronavirus. And they don't want to believe any story you're telling them that has to do with the virus. They will tell you it's just a political game. They will tell you all sorts of things. So they don't believe in it. So sometimes when you try to tell them, when you try to stop anyone that has violated the rule, sometimes they become aggressive. We have had situations where our officers are run over, wounded, injured. We had a lot of them in the course of doing their duty. So I know sometimes a lot of them I don't have that spirit of stop, clear. They will not do it. They will not do it. So at that point, maybe that is where I believe they will have this issue of scuffles, an issue of quarrels before the actual impoundment. I know that even within that period, all the people we stopped and impounded, we didn't do anything. After that day or the next day, we told them, okay, go home, behave well, and do the right thing. We
Okay.
try as much as we know, as much as we can, to obey, do carry out government instruction, and also be in the shoes of the poor masses.
What about the period of curfew when we were told to come out at a certain period of time and stay indoors at a certain period of time? There were some people that were arrested, and they claimed that they were supposed to be outside at that time.
Naturally, even when that instruction was given us, some particular sets of people were, allowed to stay out.
Yeah.
Whether medical workers, maybe pressmen, those that are carrying food items. There are classes of people that were allowed to move around, even within that, exceeding that normal period. So if you don't fall within that category, it boils down that you are definitely disobeying the government order.
Okay. All right. So, Barrister Uche, in terms of human rights violations, a lot of people reported that their rights were actually violated during the pandemic. Can we rightly say that they were actually violated? I'm sure that your agency would have gotten some cases as regards that.
We got a lot of cases, and we agree with them that their rights were violated. The government action may have been well intended, but I think they acted too fast. They didn't get, like I said, it was a novel thing. They did not have the right information. COVID-19 is still with us, and we are here, and people are in the market. Some children are back in school.
Yes.
We've not all perished because of it. So if you ask me honestly, the first, reaction to it was that of panic. Nobody had enough information. Everybody was depending on World Health Organization,
Organization.
information from World Health Organization. They said, and some people that were intimidating us Africans, telling us because of our limited research and knowledge, they told us, look, if you don't do this now, soon, the streets of Africa will be littered with dead bodies. And because of that, our government and those our leaders of thought, there was this panic. You must do what they say. They said lockdown, lockdown, close the market, don't come out, don't come out, and that kind of thing. We didn't have time to do that. So I can say from the commission's standpoint, people's rights were violated. And we are saying this so that next time when such things happen, we pray it doesn't happen. We should have our own source of information, have our own researchers who are going to research, find out what is what before we know how to deal with our people. A lot of people suffered unnecessarily. And the unfortunate thing is that during that first 2 weeks of the
The
lockdown,
lockdown.
I visited some police stations. They were asked to, people not to gather together.
Yes.
But you see, their detention centers were jammed with people, filled with people, overflowing with people. And these are the people who are told we want our people to maintain physical distances, we want them to maintain social distances. And then because you feel that doing one thing or the other, you now bring all of them together and packed all of them together in all the law enforcement agencies. It even shows that they themselves do not believe in the COVID-19. Because if they believe that that disease kills like that, infects like that, they won't be doing what they were doing. They rather saw it as an avenue of extortion, making money for themselves and for the government. That is how they say it. And they go about it that way. That is human rights abuses of the highest order. Now legitimatized, given a legal, face. You can do it. You can stop people on the way. If they don't settle with you where they're supposed to settle with you, you can lock them up. You can seize their vehicles. And again, our people did not even make it easy on us and on themselves. They refused to listen. They were willing to fight. Remember that before that lockdown, we were here on this studio telling the people there is a new disease in the world.
Yes.
It is spreading fast. It is coming here. You have your right to life. You have your right to health. This is what you do. Be on the lookout. Listen. Some listen. Some were on the lookout. Some were not. Some were kind of prepared. When they heard about these things, people started hoarding food. You notice that the price of food skyrocketed. But some other people said nothing mega, that kind of thing. And they just go about doing things the way they were doing things. I felt sorry for everybody in Nigeria. We all suffered for it. Though some individuals paid the supreme price. Thank you.
All right, so you're from one of the law enforcement agencies in Abia State. Do you
Traffic
agree?
in particular.
Traffic in particular. Do you agree with what Barrister Uche has said so far?
On our own side, we didn't violate
Human.
their rights
Okay.
of humans, of our citizens. We try as much as we can. We never even extorted. Initially, we were told to impound them, keep them at a place, you know. But after some time, we never collected a dime from any offender, any motorists that offended. We never collected 1 naira from them as a result of COVID-19 violation. We never did that. We were very specific. We were very concerned about it. And also, government was also of the state were seriously monitoring us. They were always giving us tips. Don't do this. We as the state baby, so we must work according to their directive. And they were also concerned. The governor was very concerned about it. He was giving us strict instructions. Don't take anything. We know that naturally, a lot of people are having issues with feeding money and all those things. So we can't still take money from people that are looking for money.
Was there an abuse of power during that restriction of movement
Power how?
from the security agencies.
I wouldn't speak for security agencies. I'm only
Okay.
speaking for my own
Okay.
agency. I don't know what they do. I didn't go there. My colleague here says that she
Okay.
saw.
All right. Comrade Nelson Waffle, what do you think about the abuse of power?
Yeah, actually, we experienced a flagrant abuse of power by the security agencies during the enforcement of the lockdown, especially on the areas of extrajudicial execution that really happened across the state. The issue of the of Ifeanyi Aronse that was shot by a drunk police officer in Ebema Ohofia. Then the issue of also a young guy who is a fuel, a petrol station attendant that was shot at the New Maha Road in Aba. And the issue of an operation of the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps that shot a motorist that is flying that is going to Ebonyi State. So the police, they were flagrant misuse of the firearms. The police and other security agencies do not follow the rules of engagement. So they use that COVID-19 enforcement processes to begin to waste life, to begin, to begin to abuse the right of life of the citizens of the state. We actually have actually made this point clear to the security agencies that the extrajudicial executions in the state at that time was very alarming. That really led to some changes made in the police Abia command. And as going forward, it's also good that even as we are looking for human rights, that we seek for justice of those people that were killed during this enforcement in this COVID-19 enforcement because their right to life was abused. Thank you.
Okay. All right. We will be back. We'll go for a very short break. We are looking at addressing the challenges of human rights violation during the COVID-19 pandemic, the heat of the pandemic. Don't go anywhere. We'll also take calls when we come back from this timeout.
At Flow 94.9 FM, we've got conducive and well-secured environment for business. High-tech video studio, a state-of-the-art production studio. You can also listen live on www.flow949fm.com and watch our videos on YouTube at Flow FM TV. Flow 94.9 FM, not just radio, but a complete broadcasting house.
Well, glad to know that you're still on to Flow 94.9 FM, the flow of God's own state. Now, we are looking at addressing the challenges of human rights violation during the COVID-19 pandemic. We have Reverend Christopher Uchenna Ononogu, who is from the Traffic and Indiscipline Management Agency of Abia State, that's TIMAS. We also have Barrister Uche Wonkocha, State Coordinator, National Human Rights Commission here in Abia State. Now, Reverend Christopher, looking at the enforcement of the restrictions that was put in place by the government, do you think that your agency and others went overboard?
Okay, like I told you, I will only speak on TMAS. We didn't go overboard. At least I was there on ground. I monitor. I supervise. I caution because I'm also in charge of cautioning my officers and my staff. So it's my responsibility to always talk to them. So if I always tell them what to do daily in each case, even if there's peradventure they run into any issue, I come into it. If you look at my name, you see I'm a reverend. So I bring all of them into play. I feel for the people. I felt it. But the situation on ground then was bad. If you take your memory lane back, you remember that we also had that the whole Russia had to unleash 800 lions on the street. That will tell you every nation, all countries panicked. So Nigeria also panicked as at that time. So, but as days goes by, we were getting to know exactly how to go about it. So it was nobody's fault. It was like my colleague said, it was something unprecedented, something we don't know about, well, something we are not prepared for. So we had to face it from the way it was coming.
All right.
And like she also said that they thought by now Africa must have been reduced to half in population.
That's what we heard.
That's what we heard. All of us had that.
Actually,
That's what they
yeah.
told us.
Yeah.
So that was what we had. But also, I can also tell you that God also came in played a lot of roles for us, because to them till tomorrow, I still believe they don't understand what happened in Africa, because we are still, even though a lot of us violated it, we didn't take it seriously. And people were not dying like that. I think they came back to study Africa, and I discovered maybe one thing or the other, one or two things that made Africans not to catch it the way they expected.
Yeah. Okay, Barrister Uche, looking at the restrictions, looking at the human rights violations and everything, do you think that Nigeria, especially Abia State, actually was able to strike a fine balance between protecting lives and respecting human rights?
There was no balance anywhere. Like I said, it was a panic. People panicked. The panic, when when people are in a panic situation, they create room for all kinds of maneuvers and abuses, and some people cashed in on it, particularly the law enforcement agents and the military, all of them. They saw the lockdown and the pandemic as a cash cow where they are going to make money. The lockdown that we are supposed to be enforced, they refused to enforce the lockdown. What they do was that they encourage people to come and then collect money from them. Remember, it was that during that lockdown that a lot of arms and a lot of people that we don't know where they are coming from were being ferried out. There's a total lockdown nationwide, but these were coming from the farthest part of the country and crossing all the states where all these security operatives were, and where all these lockdowns were, and they were moving freely from the farthest to the Atlantic side, and they were doing that, and using all kinds of camouflage, because the security agents, they are not interested in searching. They said that foodstuff should pass through.
Yes.
Even the foodstuff. I work in Abia State. We are on essential duty then. I was working in Abia State. My family is in Enugu. Occasionally, I have cause to go to Enugu. And if you see what is happening along the highway, you will just know that it's an opportunity for some people to make money. It is not hidden. It is so obvious. With all due respect to my colleague from Timas, no security agency was excused by National Human Rights Commission. They were all involved in it, and they are not. If their high officers are not denying it, they received the complaint. That is why there was this reform. Even in Timas, I heard there was reform after the lockdown. There were some changes. So that is why it's an open thing. I'm not criticizing them. I'm not saying all this in order to make them look bad. Everybody saw it. They all knew it. Everybody knew what happened. And I'm glad that the government showed its own disappointment in these operatives by making some changes to make sure that such things do not continue. And as luck we have it, we thank God, it seems that the world is getting grip on how to handle this COVID-19.
All right. We're going to look at solutions to some of these challenges, but then we want to take calls right now. So if you have contribution, questions to ask, or whatever you want to, your take on this issue that we're looking at today, call us up on 0808 1826 949 or 0811 6052 949. You can send SMSs to 0906 510 8289. Good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon, baby boo.
Good afternoon to you. You're welcome.
Good afternoon, Barista and other of your colleagues in the office.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, I am Mr. Love Smile. I'm calling from Modoma here.
All right, Love Smile, go on.
During the lockdown, there are some our rights that we violate, especially those our security agencies that normally say when it's the time for 10 o'clock, the time for lockdown. Like they can't for area that will be last 2 months, when lockdown was still that very much. So even they said for them to just go and drop somebody, all of the now along that happen side, police people they just tell them they collect all their money, even hold the her wife. You said try to drag her wife inside along that police station that is Nova Calade. So even though they are trying to explain, you said they didn't let it they know that they just went out like that. All those things they're supposed to understand, and not because of they said lockdown, they obey the government order. Like that thing is not supposed to be so. It's not supposed to be like that. And also think collective say lockdown. Look, that time we are staying inside, like what is government they are telling collective. And people who are inside kind of hunger, they are telling us we should stay inside and obey the government order. Why? Because some people are dying inside.
Love
I
Smile,
think
wrap up your
all those
thoughts.
people, all those things, all those people are supposed to do something. If they want us to stay inside and avoid the COVID-19 pandemic disease.
All right, thank
That's my
you.
contribution.
Hello. Okay. All right. 0808 or 0811 We're looking at addressing the challenge of human rights violation during COVID-19 pandemic. Hello, good afternoon. Hello. Good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you. What's your name?
It's Alvan. I'm calling you from Bend.
Alvan, you're welcome.
Yeah, good afternoon to your guest.
Good afternoon.
Yeah,
Good
it was
afternoon.
a terrible situation. Talking about human rights violation, especially coming from the security or the security agents. I mean, the problem is how do we stop this from happening? Because, like one of your guests said, when the security people don't search, you mount a checkpoint, people are passing with arms, with weapons, with dangerous, even human beings, because during that time they discovered that some of these Fulani people inside trucks packed with goods. And you are there, these things are happening, you're not doing anything. All you are interested is collecting money. Recently, one governor said that is changing arms with goods, foreigners. And you ask yourself, where are these people manning the borders and the rest of them? Of course, with what is happening, it
Alvan, wrap
means
up your
that,
thoughts,
yeah, I'm
please.
wrapping up. It
Okay.
means that the quality of this personnel that we recruit is nothing to write them about. And they should do a whole lot of things to check this. Have a nice day.
You too. Hello, good afternoon.
Hello, people.
Good afternoon, Pastor Ifeanyi.
Good afternoon. Barrister, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I think Reverend Honorable, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, my brother.
I have been enjoying your explanation of the references that are made. I quite appreciate.
Thank you very much.
I want to say that most of the security agents infringe on the rights of Africans, particularly and speaking about Africans. And then when this complaint are confirmed, I want to ask, are there no punishment for this security operatives who that indeed who interact with the citizens of this place? There are no punishment for them. Is many of them capitalize on the specific situation.
Pastor Ifeanyi, you asked a
Morning.
question. Please, can you come again with that question?
I said those security operatives who infringe on the rights of the citizens of the state during this pandemic, who extort money, who harass, who up the when this issue is confirmed by human rights agents and even those in the traffic section,
Yeah.
as well as in the police agents and the military outfit. What is the punishment for these people?
Okay.
Because I have not had any punishment in my on them. And if those punishment and all of them to serve as the current to us, it will continue that way.
All right.
What is the punishment?
Okay, Pastor Ifeanyi, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Pastor Uche, he asked the question as regards punishing officers and people who actually violated the rights of citizens during the lockdown. Said he has not heard any punishment, and he feels that it will continue.
And he's not likely to hear of any punishment because the thing is so widespread. But I want to assure him that some of them are being punished, particularly those of them that were involved in the extrajudicial killing. Some of them have been dismissed, some of them are being prosecuted. So some of them will be punished, some will not be punished. And the thing is that nobody anticipated actually what happened. Nobody anticipated what happened. So it shows that there is a weakness, a serious weakness in our security system. And that is why we are having the security challenges we are having in Nigeria. There is nobody to be trusted to do the right thing. If you keep somebody on the road, the essence of the person standing on the road is for the person to conduct some searches, make sure that things that shouldn't come into the country or into the state doesn't come into the state. But they are there collecting money, so they are not searching anything. And then it got to a point, even the Abia state government noticed it. And they told the youth of the different communities, you go and, save your people. Because if we leave these all to the security agencies, they're going to be there, and people will, with arms and all kind of things, will overrun us. You youths, you belong to that community, you live in the border, you go there and save your people.
Okay.
And the youths did that. So it's not a matter of punishment. It's just that nobody anticipated what happened. I don't know if the government anticipated it. The government is acting on the belief we have security agencies, we have law enforcement agencies that are going to, meet us halfway while we are trying to calm the people down, provide palliatives for them. These people are going to take care of the securities and things like that. But they failed us. It was a very big failure, and everybody saw it.
All right.
It was very, very embarrassing. It was very disappointing.
Okay, so while we are preferring solutions to some of these human rights violations, you can also give your closing remark because we've come to the end of today's edition of the show.
My own closing remark is that from the National Human Rights Commission point of view, we have to protect human rights. We have to protect our rights to life and our properties. Because without these protections, we are just open to any kind of prey. We urge our security agencies to please take care of themselves. Train your officers and retrain them.
All right.
So that they will do the work they're supposed to do.
Okay, sir?
Yeah. Okay, for us, I still maintain my stand that we did as much as we can to make sure that we don't violate any human right. Even in case your right is violated in any way on the road, let us know. Come to the office.
All right.
Ask of the for whom I ask for the deputy general manager. If need be, call the general manager. If you can also call me, I will respond appropriately. I will not delay. I will not waste. I will see to it.
All right.
That officer
Thank
will be
you.
dismissed as well.
Comrade
Yeah,
Nelson.
to ensure that victims of extrajudicial executions get justice, we are, as human rights group, have also already advocated for the speedy trial of the police officers that were involved. So now we are calling on the state attorney general of the state to ensure that he follow all the procedural processes to ensure that we get justice, and it will serve as a deterrent to officers who also use the firearms very, very wrongly to abuse the rights of the citizens.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And that's it on today's edition of the program. Tomorrow will be day 3 of this particular program with another interesting topic. Do have yourself a very lovely day. My name is Chioma Nkwanta.